Okay. Dr. Tuttle, I would like to ask you about the grass-fed beef and animals that are raised without factory farming today, as many people believe that that is a much less cruel way that they can still eat the meat and animal products that they've grown up on. Can you address that?
Yes, the whole movement towards grass-fed or free-range animals, cows, pigs, and chickens, and so forth, is really a distraction because there is still enormous amount of cruelty and abuse of animals. I mean, the fundamental, most horrific abuse you can commit to anyone is to kill them. And these animals are all killed. They're all stabbed. They're all confined against their will. These animals are not running freely. They're not able to have their own social relations that they would, like, for example, chickens lived and still live in Southeast Asia in the jungles. They've been doing that for millions of years, establishing their own pecking orders and establishing their own communities and taking care of each other. But when we violently rip them out of that and we put them into some kind of confinement, which we always do, whether it's free range or not, if they're living in some kind of electrical fence, where they're always, whenever they touch the fence, they're kind of jarred and freaked out. And then we steal their eggs. We don't let any males in there. We only have females. This is very violent. It's slavery. It's really completely unnecessary. And in the end, we're killing them. And the same thing is with grass-fed beef, or so-called. You know, these animals are confined. There's a war against nature. Now that there's more free-range animals, the Department of Wildlife Services is shooting and denning and killing and trapping a lot more coyotes and wolves and prairie dogs and other animals because the free-range operators, you know, they get a premium. You know, their meat sells for more money because people think it's more compassionate. It's not. It's killing more wildlife. These animals are still mutilated. They're still castrated without anesthesia. They're still branded. They're still suffer terribly, and they're still stabbed and killed in slaughterhouses. Usually they're the same slaughterhouses that regular, meat comes from. Sometimes they're small special slaughterhouses, and undercover investigations have shown that these small undercover slaughterhouses sometimes are much more sadistic. They really torture the animals because it brings out the worst in people. So you don't know, when you get a piece of flesh from these places, you don't know really what you're getting, and you don't really know what the animals went through. Organically grown animals very often suffer more than commercial. Organic cows, for example, organic dairy, since they can't use any antibiotics for mastitis, which all cows get, organic or not, which is the inflammation of the udder and the teats clog up and no milk gets through, instead of giving them antibiotics to take care of it, they take instruments like a corkscrew and they ream it up in the teat and they rip it out, which causes, it's agonizing for the cows. So organic can be much more abusive and much more cruel, as well as it's well known that grass-fed beef causes a lot more global warming, there's a lot more methane, it's more devastating to the environment. So it's not better. In many ways it's worse. And the worst part of it is it gives people this false notion that now I'm doing something better. This is not cruel. It is cruel, it is abusive, it is completely unnecessary. We can thrive, we can get all the amino acids, proteins, essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, whatever it is, from a plant-based diet. And we don't need to cause death and destruction and environmental devastation to animals in order to do that.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so inspiring and helpful.